Welcome to Hope's Homemade Kitchen. The weather in Minnesota has been wonderful, and tomorrow is supposed to be even better. I've been out using my smoker, the Traeger smoker, to smoke some meat. I think I am going to make some beef jerky. Beef jerky is an amazing snack to have if you're going on a hike, if you're just out shopping and you want something to eat, if you're going on a hunting trip. You can freeze it for later and have it anytime. We love it in our house. So I am going to make some tomorrow on the smoker, but what I need to do first is marinate it overnight. Let me show you the ingredients for the marinade. For the smoked beef jerky, the ingredients are flank steak, minced garlic, oil. You could use vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil, soy sauce, ketchup, and Worcestershire sauce. So since I'm making a good amount of flank steak, I'm going to need to slice it into thin slices, and I'll do that after I show you the marinade. So first of all, we'll need a cup of ketchup. Okay, we'll throw that in the bowl. We'll also need a cup of water, 1 cup of soy sauce, oh, that was perfect. 2/3 cup of Worcestershire sauce, a cup of oil. You can use olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, and 3 heaping tablespoons of garlic. You can also add green onions. Just chopped green onions. I didn't have any today, so I'm going to leave them out. I think to spice it up a little bit, I'm going to add a few pepper flakes and some black pepper. This will be good in the marinade overnight. It'll get that spicy flavor. Will just soak right in. You don't need to add salt because the soy sauce and the Worcestershire sauce have plenty of salt already in it. And that's it for the marinade. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'll show you how I trim the flank steak. So you have the choice of cutting it. See, there's lines down there. That's the grain. You have the choice of cutting it against the grain or with the grain. We really like it with the grain. We like it a little bit chewier, but if you like it to snap apart and a little more tender, you can do it against the grain in thin slices. So you'll see some of the bigger pockets of fat. You'll want to cut those out. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit in there, but you don't want a lot. So I'm cutting it in pretty thin pieces. Now, if you really wanted to make this cut easier, you could put it in the freezer for a few minutes, and that helps it get a more uniform cut. But you see, that's kind of what you want right there. And these will be like beef jerky, like little straws when they're done. There's a lot of different styles of beef jerky. You could do like the flat kind. It just kind of depends on the kind of beef that you use. Flank steak is perfect for jerky because you can do it a number of ways. You can do it, like I said, with the grain or against the grain. And that has a little bit of fat in there. Just blend it in. That's not going to hurt anything. You just want to cut the big chunks of fat off when you see them. The marinade really does work wonders. I'm sure it tenderizes it to some extent and really just kind of soaks in that flavor. And that's all you need to do. Going to make a lot of jerky. I've used arm roast before. That's a really tough meat, but you can again cut it against the grain, and it's more the bigger pieces, kind of flatter, bigger pieces than not the strings like this. Okay. I'm going to plop that in there. This came from Costco. You know, of course you don't have to buy this much, but we eat so much of it, and like I said, you could freeze it if you wanted to. Cutting out that pocket of fat there. That's about as thick as you need it right there. So we'll put, once it's marinated overnight, we'll put this on the smoker tomorrow, and it'll take probably 4 to 5 hours, cooking it real low. Okay, last one. They've taken most of that skin off underneath, but if you see any pieces, then just go ahead and trim them. Make sure most of it is submerged so it would get a good soaking. If you guys like to do jerky, put a comment down below with the favorite cut of meat you like to use. I think this is my favorite. It's a little more expensive than some of the other cuts, but I think it's the most flavorful, one of the most flavorful. And I just like the form of it. All right. That was almost 4 pounds of meat. So this just goes in the fridge overnight, and it will marinate and be ready to go in the morning. Okay, it's the next day, and we are getting ready to put some jerky on the smoker. I've got this going. I had it on smoke, and I'm going to set it to about between 180 and 250. I think I'm going to set it at 225. You see it's smoking there. It's been going about 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. So I think I'm going to close the lid and let it heat up to 225. So the flank steak has been marinating all night long. So it's got some good flavor in there. The next thing I'm going to do is lay it out on these grills, and then I will put those on the smoker. I'm able to get 3 of them, so I should be able to get the whole thing on. So first I'm going to spray all the grills with all the racks with Pam. That'll just help it to not stick. Okay. I'm going to lay them out where the smoke can get around them. I put the thicker ones on the edges if I can, because that way the thicker ones don't burn as much. And when that heat comes up from the sides, the ones on the edges have a tendency to burn, so you got to keep a watch on that. These are going to be some long pieces of jerky. I'll get as much as I can on here. Some of them have fat, a little bit of fat threaded through there. It's best to keep, once your jerky is done, it's best to keep it in the refrigerator. It will stay at room temperature, you know, for a while. If you're taking it out, it'll be fine. That's a thicker one. I'm going to put that on the edge. But generally, it's just best to keep it in the refrigerator. And it will also freeze well. So if you have an event coming up in a few months, or if you're going on a trip and you want some jerky for the trip, make it now and it'll freeze. Wherever you're able to find a little spot on the rack, just squeeze a little smaller one in there. I have an older, I think it's called a Lil Tex Traeger grill. I'm not sure, it's probably at least 10 years old. And I've had no trouble with it yet, knock on wood. Okay. I can probably squeeze a few more on there. I'll see how many go on these other racks. So I have all of the beef pieces laid out. 3 racks will go on here. Put the long skinny one on top. So as they start shrinking with the cooking, I'll move them in. That'll cook 4 to 5 hours. Okay, it's been about 2.5 hours into the cook time. And I had the smoker set at 180, and it fluctuates between 180 and like 225, so I think that's a good temp. It's starting to get done. I like it to be pliable, not dry. You can see how some of the ones on the edges, because it's closer to the heat that comes up from around the barrier. So I'm pulling some of those into the center. A couple of pieces here that got a little too done, I was bringing those in. It's looking really good. You could optionally flip these if you wanted to. I don't think that's necessary. I'm not going to do that. I'll let them keep smoking. All right, we'll check back in a bit. Okay, these are done now. I think those are pretty much perfect. They're pliable. Those will definitely be good. These are perfect. See if I can stack these up here just right. I'm going to turn off the grill and we'll take them in and bag them up. That's the way you want it. Some like it crispy. This is perfect and chewy. There's some little pieces in there. Most of them are long, and that is why I love to do the flank steak, because you get those long fibers when you cut it with the grain instead of against the grain. So it makes for a chewier, more pliable piece of jerky. Just beautiful. You have some around the edges that are a little crispier. Somebody will like those. There's one I had to pull in. That's probably too burnt to eat. But look at that. We'll be eating on these for quite some time. In fact, I might put some in the freezer to pull out later when we kind of forget about them, and it makes for a really nice snack. That was 3 layers of goodness there. Get those little snack pieces. You can't resist that. Look how much that made. I mean, can you imagine if you bought that in the store? If you bought that much jerky in the store, how much it would cost? I can't believe how much jerky costs. But in all honesty, this was three medium-sized flank steaks. And I think the cost was around $40 for it all. But if you think about getting this much jerky in the store, it's going to be more than that. Good jerky. Okay, I'm going to do a taste test. Okay, now for the important taste test. If you remember, we had 3 flank steaks that we cut with the grain in long, thin pieces. We put together a marinade, and I have the recipe in the description box below. We marinated the flank steak in a large bowl overnight so all of the flavors could meld in. In the morning, we set our smoker at 225 degrees originally, but then I cut it down to 180 degrees. We laid out the steak onto strips onto these grids, and then we smoked it for, it ended up being about 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours, which is just about right for this kind of steak. It is just amazing. It's beautiful. So now for the taste test. The smokiness is so pronounced. It's pliable, which is the way I like it, and delicious. The best way to store this is in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator. They're also freezable. So good. I plan to do more smoking recipes on the Traeger grill. So if you like a particular kind of meat on the grill, comment below and let me know what it is. Maybe we can do it together on the grill. Thank you for watching me today on Hope's Homemade Kitchen. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. We'll see you next time.